Oh, Mike, I'm happy to be here.
All right, right now we're talking to Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo. If you have been watching the Devo documentary on Netflix, I think it was your friend and bandmate, Jerry Casale, who said that Devo, I think he said this, Devo might be the most misunderstood band in history. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I understand why he said that because people, it is true that back in the day, people really, were kind of dumbfounded by what we were doing. We were making these little films of our songs, and there was no MTV at the time, and so we'd just take these films, these short films, and we'd put a screen up in front of our the stage when we were playing at clubs, and we'd show the films. Then we'd come out and play the songs, and it was confusing for a lot of people.
And way ahead of its time, though. Like you said, it was way before MTV. But you guys you didn't start out as a band. You kind of started out making films first, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, my brother Bob, who's in the band, he made a film. He was making film back in a high school, and then because our dad, General Boyd, he was crazy about 8mm films, and was starting in the 1950s. He was shooting stuff, and some of it was interesting. But when we got together as a band, we thought of it as more like a sound and vision project. We thought of it as both music and visuals to go with it, and so that was kind of different. There wasn't anybody else really doing that at the time, and one thing led to another.
Yeah, and it was the videos that at first got people's attention.
Because you're right. Because in the U.S., we weren't really getting any radio play, only in Europe, and but MTV kind of changed that for us. It's like MTV needed product, and we had like half a dozen films already, so we were on MTV every hour.
It's great in the documentary where I think it was Warner Brothers who wanted to give you $5,000 for some kind of promotional material. I think they were cutouts of the band, but you said, "Can we take that and make a film instead?" And their reply was, "What are you gonna do with that?" Which just shows how far ahead you were.
Scratch their heads like, "What are you talking about? Why would you want that?" Yeah, it was interesting, getting them, to finally come around and figure out what we were up to. Thankfully, MTV showed up and made it easier.
Another thing you guys were far ahead of your time. Well, actually, it wasn't you guys; it was someone before you. But you brought it with your message. Was your name comes from something you saw and you turned Jerry onto, which is De-volution. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, that is going backwards, evolving backwards, and you saw the human race as something that was starting to head in the other direction. And I got to tell you, it's been all coming true, unfortunately. But you neglected to tell us.
Yeah.
You neglected to tell us that as it progressed, it would get faster, because it seems like every day now there's something where I'm saying, "Wow, those guys were talking about this like way back in the 70s." I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah. We were hoping that we were just being paranoid. It does seem that way. And there was Jerry and a friend of ours, Bob Lewis, that found a book called "The Truth About De-volution," and that was, and it was kind of a crazy sociologist. Yugoslavian sociologist wrote this book, and it was, although it was kind of crazy sounding, we loved it so much. We talked about it all the time. And then I found a pamphlet called Jocko Homo. It was a religious pamphlet from the 30s. It was kind of anti-Darwinian. And between those two, and then a lot of movies, we saw a lot of movies that dealt with things like Island of Lost Souls and Inherit the Wind, about the Scopes monkey trials, and different stuff like that. We were just fascinated by it all, and put together one idea of where things were headed. And, you know, there are those that could say that it is going that way.
You know, in the beginning, I was doubtful, and now I am a true believer, Mark.
Yeah, well, I was the optimist in the band, hoping that it wasn't going to happen. But
right. Well, you tried. You guys tried. That's all I got to say. So you're on tour with the B-52s. You're going to be playing at the Xfinity Center here in Mansfield, Massachusetts on the 2nd. Have you guys ever toured with them before?
No, but I always loved that band. You know, Rock Lobster caught my attention, and I just thought they were really smart. They were an art band also, and I loved the way they created this kind of retro, futuristic sound, and I don't know. I feel like we're a good complement for each other.
Absolutely.
They're kind of maybe the more optimists now, and Devo's like the grumpy old man. So it's like something about you get a little bit of sugar and salt when you see the show.
Yeah, you know, you both came up at the same time. You may have been around a little longer than them, but you kind of came into the public eye around the same time, and you were both, you know, in the late 70s. Nobody was doing anything like either band. You know, it was unbelievable how different you were. Plus, you guys kind of, you know, both wore wigs, crazy headgear, you know, stuff like that. So
yeah, it was both very unique, and I don't know, somehow, you know, also both kind of pushing in the same direction. So I don't know. I'm enjoying this so far, what we've done with them, and it's a good combo. I think people like these shows we've been doing. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to seeing both bands. Again, that's the 2nd at the Xfinity Center here in Mansfield. One final question, purely for selfish reasons. Do you still talk to Neil Young at all?
You know, we used to share a manager back in the 70s.
Yes.
He was connected to the guy that managed us in the early days, and we saw each other at his funeral, and he was nice. We had a nice discussion. He was important to me. Besides supporting Devo, he took music I'd written for a Dean Stockwell and Russ Tamblyn off-Broadway play, and used it for the soundtrack. It was like the first movie that my music was ever in the score of. So you know, I owe him a lot.
Was that Human Highway?
Yes, Human Highway.
Great film. Awesome. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time. I've been a fan a while, and not like I said, unfortunately, De-volution is happening faster than ever. So good luck to you, sir. I hope we all survive. Thanks, Mark.
Yes, I think the one thing to keep in your mind is mutate. Don't stagnate.
Yes. Thank you, Mark.
All right.